Ensuring smooth flowing traffic and road safety during the winter season is one of the main tasks of the Finnish National Road Administration. All public roads maintained by the Finnish National Road Administration are kept in trafficable condition throughout the year, day and night. Mainly sodium chloride is used for chemical de-icing. Its use began in the 1960s. At that time, studded tires came into general use. Today in wintertime, 95% of passenger cars have studded tires. Studded tires wear away road surface and cause dust pollution. A wet surface erodes more quickly than a dry one. Motorists criticize the use of salt because of the slush it produces. The possible accumulation of salt in aquifers has also been a source of concern. A significant reduction in road salting has been demanded, and even its complete discontinuation. To solve these problems, an extensive research program called the Road Traffic in Winter was launched by the Finnish National Road Administration. The main object of the whole program was to evaluate new alternative winter maintenance scenarios for improving social benefits. The results of the project were used in re-evaluating the policy on winter road maintenance and the use of studded tires. The study viewpoint in the project was simplified to 3 use levels of studded tires and winter maintenance strategies, which together combined to 9 future scenarios. These scenarios were based on exhaustive basic research. The project covered research on safety, environmental factors, maintenance, and public opinion. The overall project consisted of more than 40 sub-projects. One of these sub-projects studied the effects of salt reduction in the Kuopio province of eastern Finland for a duration of 2 years. The total salt use per season on the experimental roads was reduced by 80% compared to previous years. On the other hand, sand was used 3 times as much. The amount of snow plowing remained largely unchanged, but the amount of slush removal was decreased. Road leveling work can increase up to 10 times if the amount of salt is dramatically reduced. The reduced use of salt increased road maintenance costs on an average of 20%. On the busiest roads, cost increased by as much as 50%. Opinion polls revealed that road users felt driving was more comfortable and their sense of responsibility was enhanced as a result of the salt reduction. However, according to the results, accidents involving personal injuries increased on the average by 5% and by 20% on the busy roads where salting was reduced the most. How does driving behavior change if drivers start using studless winter tires instead of studded tires? 120 drivers were recruited to the study. Drivers were matched into 2 equal groups of 60. One group received studded tires and the other group studless winter tires. Drivers wrote down all driving distances they made and other relevant facts into a diary. Driving behavior was studied using 2 similar test vehicles carrying concealed monitoring equipment. Drivers' behavior patterns were studied without them being aware of it, and the driving situation was made as normal as possible. Speed, brake pressure, driving time, driven distances, and the distance to the car ahead were recorded by a computer at 1-second intervals during each test drive. In addition to computers, the vehicles were equipped with video cameras to determine the driver's location on the route and whether he was driving in a queue or freely. The driving test consisted of baseline measurements and 2 after measurements. The length of the route, which included different types of road, was approximately 80 kilometers. The study indicated that the changeover to studless winter tires has little effect on driving speeds in the long term. Driving speeds increased in good road conditions. The increased driving speeds resulted in an enhancement in the accident risks. The test showed that drivers in vehicles with studless winter tires drove more carefully in difficult road and weather conditions. The drivers were, however, very satisfied with the studless winter tires, and none of them wanted to go back to using studded tires. The comparative study of the wear and friction of winter tires included 4 different types of winter tire, 2 studded and 2 studless. 2 tires of each type were used to test tire wear. All the tires were driven for 40,000 kilometers between Helsinki in the south and Ivalo in northern Finland. Half of the driving took place in urban areas to simulate normal tire wear. Changes in the gripping properties of the tires were monitored at 5,000 kilometer intervals by friction tests. The tests included a braking and an acceleration test carried out both on a smooth icy surface and on packed snow and ice. On smooth ice surfaces, studded tires were clearly more efficient than studless winter tires throughout the test. Tests showed that studded tires retained their grip up to 25,000 kilometers, after which the grip clearly declined. Even at the end of 40,000 kilometers, studded tires had clearly better gripping properties than studless winter tires. Grip tests conducted on packed snow and ice showed that the differences in the gripping properties of studded and studless winter tires were too small to be of any practical significance. The impact of salting on aquifers and roadside vegetation has been extensively studied in Finland. Increased salt concentrations were detected on the needles of roadside pine trees. On the other hand, studies showed that road salt did not affect trees that were further than 20 meters away from the road. Local road regions commission groundwater surveys in their own areas, on the basis of which the Road Traffic in Winter project compiled a national report. Models were used to study the movement of salt in aquifers. With sufficient data of the aquifers, models can be used to forecast the future trend in salt concentration. The use of salt in groundwater areas depends on how well salt concentrations can be controlled. The planning and implementation of protective measures for groundwater requires local surveys. Alternatives to chloride-based anti-icing chemicals have been sought around the world. The best alternative seems to be calcium magnesium acetate, i.e., CMA, which causes less corrosion than salt. In Finnish weather and groundwater conditions, acetate causes oxygen loss as it disperses. This restricts its suitability. From the environmental viewpoint, a reduction in the annual use of salt from 120,000 tons to 30,000 tons would be beneficial. But a completely saltless and studless alternative is not the best solution, even for the environment, as dust problems caused by sand would then increase significantly. In seeking the socio-economically optimum solution, accident costs are the most important factor. They drive the final results back to the starting position, which is that the use of salt in studded tires should not be banned. Studded tires enhance road safety in variable road conditions, particularly in the case of less confident drivers. Salt evens out variations in those conditions and ensures that traffic flows smoothly and safely also in winter.